So I got a little bit more work done on the old truck camper. The trolls' favorite topic. Oh, you disgusting pig, clean up that mess. So as you know, we traveled in this truck camper that we built, for a few years. And then we moved here, and we actually lived in this for a while until we got the tiny house built. And almost a year we stayed in this. And then it became a shed for the longest time. It stored all our batteries and inverters and all that. And now, of course, we have this shed over here to hold all that stuff. This started falling down because I had way too many batteries on that overhang, and it started to break. It just wasn't designed for that much weight. We put chickens in here for a while, little chicks, I should say. So we raised some chicks in here. We had straw in here, just different things. But when it started breaking, I thought, well, Carolyn thought it was time for it to go. So she bought the shed, and we got everything transferred over this last summer. Now, I didn't touch it during the summer because there was just a ton of black snakes underneath it. But here recently, it's just been a muddy mess, or extremely cold or snowing, and I couldn't get the truck out. It's still pretty muddy. You can see the mud pit over here. I've put things down so I'm not sinking in it. But today I got the walls knocked down, so now we can get this onto the back of the truck and maybe get it to the dump. Then I just got the floor to deal with. That won't be hard to deal with at all. Clean up some of that trash in there. I mean, it became a storage area for empty bags. Carolyn was saving empty bags for compost. But now that we're carnivores, we don't raise a garden, so we don't need that much compost. So it's almost done. And then the trolls won't have anything to talk about for a while. So this is kind of the topic of the video today that I wanted to talk about. When Carolyn and I met, we were working very hard, and it stressed us out a lot that we wanted to do something else. So as soon as I got debt free and my child support ended, we quit our jobs and started traveling. Now, we started out in a pop-up camper. It took me several months to get that pop-up camper into a state where I felt like we could live in it. Now, I've had some experience with providing my own electric, not a lot, but I had some. I built my own solar panel system, almost identical to the one I got now, but this one's much bigger. I used the same principles as I did for the pop-up camper. The only difference is I didn't have solar panels. I used a generator and a battery charger instead of solar panels and a charge controller. And the reason I didn't go with solar panels was actually a couple of reasons. One, it would have been more weight. These solar panels are 12 to 15 pounds each. You get 6 or 7 solar panels and it gets pretty hefty. Now imagine, this is in the fall, or winter I should say, and you can see all the shading taking place out here in the woods. Now imagine it in summertime. There's hardly any sun that comes down through here. It's beautiful, and when we were traveling, I wanted to be parked in this, and it's very cool to temperature wise. So this is where we wanted to hang out. So you can't get much light or solar panels through these trees. So that's why I went with the generator. And I had 2 5-gallon jugs of gasoline that I always took with me. And that always lasted us 2 weeks. I would run it about 8 hours a day, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening. And I had everything hooked up in a fashion that when we traveled, we could charge the batteries with the truck. I remember one time this was after the pop-up camper, this is after we got into the truck camper. We went to this little touristy thing, and we went on probably a 2 or 3 hour walk. Well, the batteries needed charge. So what I did was I pulled the generator out, I locked it up to the back of the truck with the padlock, and I was able to charge the batteries while we were out on our little tour in the parking lot. Worked out great. So it was pretty flexible. So like I said, then we moved into the truck camper. Somebody burned down our pop-up camper and we moved into the truck camper. We built it down at Dad's house. It took us probably 2 weeks to do. Well, that added a lot of weight to the back of the truck, so we had to really be cautious with weight. But the difference was, well, there really wasn't much difference, except now we had our home with us all the time. We didn't leave it behind to go grocery shopping. We actually went to the forest ranger's office. That's where we were when they burned down our truck camper. We were looking to start campsite hosting. So we went there to see if we could get a job like that. And that's when somebody burned down our camper. I felt a little bit more secure that it was always going to be with us if we went somewhere. But on the other hand, if we went for a walk, I was always concerned that someone would burn down the truck camper and the truck at the same time. So time for us to move on. Finding water was a challenge, and internet. I do know that Carolyn would rather have more water at times, but I don't think that's the reason we quit. It might have had a little bit to do with it, but in the end, we quit because somebody burned down our pop-up camper. Even though we quit years later, the stress of that was always on our mind. And the more the National Forest became homeless camps, the more it stressed us out. So we decided that we enjoyed the minimalistic lifestyle. So we moved onto a piece of property. We found a piece of property and $4,200 with a well on it. And we can hook up our cell phones and get internet. So the things that stress us out the most, or at least a little bit I should say, on the road, we have eliminated. We got water all the time now. We've got a cell phone so I can do my work. And we don't have the constant fear of somebody burning down our house. And if someone does burn down our house, we have backup plans now. We have the camper. It's not someplace I'd want to live long term, but we have that trailer now, that travel trailer, whatever you want to call it. If something happened to our house, we could move in there temporarily until we built something else. This is not poison ivy, this is grape. What was interesting about the nomadic lifestyle was it trained us to learn how to live more simplistically. But we wanted to live more simplistically. So we lived several years this way, traveling around. We were still relying on other people to take care of us. I think that's what bugged me the most. The National Forest is not your property. And you get out there and you hear all these nomads saying, property, I can be here if I want to be. Well, you're only one person of the public. Other people can be there also. And somebody's got to control the public, so forest rangers and rules and limitations. We don't have any of that here. Nobody's telling me I got to pack up and leave. Nobody's knocking on my door asking me how long I've been here. There's no misinterpretation of the rules either. When we were in Florida, we misinterpreted the rules. We thought that if we bought this tag, we could stay there for I think it was 3 months longer. But it turned out the tag had nothing to do with anything. I don't know why we bought it. I don't even know why they sold them. It didn't do anything other than what we thought it was supposed to do, and it didn't do that. So we had to move. Well, he gave us 2 weeks to leave. I mean, think about that. An officer, law enforcement officer, is knocking on your door telling you you're violating the law. Well, you don't want to violate the law. I didn't want to violate the law. My big thing on my YouTube channel when I was follow the rules. Nice thing about this place, even though people are gonna, well, the trolls I should say, you don't live off grid, you live too close to people. We have this 1.5 acres, and we do have a power line that runs through our yard, but the power line reduced the price of the house. Well, if you think about it, the well was, if we had to dig it, was $5,000. Well, we didn't have to dig it, it already had a well here. So we bought the place for $4,200. So either the property is free or the well was free. Plus, it was all junked up. I know the trolls are gonna say, well, it's still junked up. Did you see that camper laying there? Well, we cleaned it up quite a bit. The nice thing is you and I just took a stroll through the woods. I mean, think about that. So we have all these woods. So I got all this space up here that's all cleared off for the chickens and the solar panels and the house. Of course, you know, yeah, there's junk there. I get it, trolls. And then we got the park. I don't even think I showed you the other path. See, I cut a path here with the lawnmower. So it goes all the way around and circles around up there by the, anyway, so it's just on 1.5 acres. And the thing is, you know, we keep getting better at this all the time. You know, we improved our solar panel situation, so now I can run the well off the solar panels. Used to have to run it off the generator. Carolyn used to do laundry with the plunger. Of course, somebody's gonna say, well, she should have never had to do that. Well, she didn't have to do it. She could have asked for a wash machine anytime, and we could have ran it off the generator. But now we're to a point, we got a wash machine, and we can run it off the solar panels. Just constantly improving. And that's what happens when you live off grid. You just keep growing and getting better at it to the point pretty soon you're not even having to work that hard at it. I know people seem to think this is just a terrible job, always having to do something, but I don't work at it that hard anymore. But the point of this video is there's a YouTube couple. Now, I've made a video about them in the past. In the past, I did it and it trended. I didn't mean for it to trend. I'm not trying to be mean to these people. They seem good intentioned. Well, I think they're good intentioned. So this time I'm making a video in January. There's no chance of it trending now. My videos don't do well in January. So I think nobody can accuse me of trying to get rich off of them. There's this couple that moved to Alaska to live off grid with their, I think, 6 children. The thing about it is they don't seem to know what they're doing. Like I said, I made a video about this in the past. Now, I've only watched 2 videos of this adventure. They're fairly long videos and they're really well done. I mean, they're a Hollywood production. Well, maybe not that good, but they're pretty good. The first video I watched, I think there might be 4 videos, but the first video I watched, she was not happy about living off grid. She was quite upset about it. And she made a statement. Now, when I made the first video, a lot of people said I didn't watch the video all the way through. I did watch the video all the way through. What I think's funny is the people who said I didn't watch it all the way through, didn't watch it all the way through or pay attention very well. She said she was lied to about living off grid. Well, she eventually said that she was lying to herself. Okay, that's great. That covers you for the title. It covers you for all the statements you've said. But all through the video, she kept indicating that there were people misrepresenting the lifestyle. Now, in the video, they said Missouri off-gridders. I don't know who said it, but it was said. Now, I only know of 2 Missouri off-gridders, myself and somebody else. And I don't feel like I misrepresent anything. I don't think the other guy does either. I watched him a lot. So then she references Laura Ingalls Wilder. And in that she says, Laura Ingalls Wilder later in life said that when she wrote the books, that she only represented the good parts of her life. She didn't represent the harder times. And so this woman then said that she was lying to herself because she took the information that she got and said it was going to be a great lifestyle living off grid. You can say that she said she was lying to herself, but you can't blame everybody throughout the entire video and then the last part of the video say, oh, but it was me, I lied to myself. Well, then I watched the second video. What happened was I don't want to explain their whole video. They're 30 minutes long, 38 minutes long. So I don't want to explain the whole video, but they ended up having to go to a different cabin. The first cabin they were at was really rough. They didn't have any electric, they don't have, you could go on and on about it. Having to do laundry. Of course, they got 6 kids. They were going to go visit someone. They had to travel a long ways. So they rented a cabin with electric. Talking about how great this was. Having a place that they could just relax and they all gathered around the stove and cooked a big meal. And the kids played on the floor and there was, I guess, heat, I don't know. But then they had to go back to the original cabin. And they were like, well, should we just quit or should we continue? Well, here's the thing. So what they said was they were doing a 3-month off-grid challenge. I didn't catch that in the first video that I watched. So what they did was they went on a camping trip for 3 months with a cabin. That's all they're doing. This isn't off-grid. This is, let's make YouTube videos. You go and you look for the hardest challenge you can do out there in the middle of Alaska on a dirt road that you can't travel when it gets muddy. And then you complain about it the whole time, saying how hard off-grid is. It's hard is living in Alaska without electric or any types of conveniences. Because off-grid isn't that hard to me, and I would imagine it's not going to be hard to many people. If you want to live off-grid and you're not sure you want to live off-grid, shut off your electric box, your breaker box. And if you can do that for a while, turn it back on, you know, whatever, do it again and do it again. And if you like it, and you figure out, oh, I can live on solar panels or a generator or whatever it is, then I say go for it. But don't just go out in the middle of Alaska and say, oh, those Missouri people, they're a bunch of liars. Oh, they're not liars, I'm the liar. And convince everybody that off-grid is terrible. So if you'll click this up next box to take you that video, the first video, so if I can inspire you to live your dreams, not someone else's.